наш робочий день. Зараз
Continue our work. Now the representatives of Democratic Alliance will be presenting the facts of the legal charging money at Ukrainian parking places. I would like to invite Vasyl, who's the head of the faction Democratic Alliance in Kyiv City Council, Maksym Panov, who's the head of Kyiv City territorial organization of Democratic Alliance, and Anton Frolov, coordinator of Parkovka project. Thank you. Today, when I was coming to Kyiv City Council, I had a question. Is the parking place number one problem in the capital? I remembered how Leonid Chernovitsky was saying, the one who throws that snow, let him clean that snow. We're talking about the results of inspecting Kyiv parking places in Kyiv. According to the rules of parking, which are regulated by the resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers, provides for the payment for parking could be made in cash exclusively via parking meters or SMS. There are no other options. Illegal charges in cash which exist in the capital today are not acceptable, and the Democratic Alliance suggests to stop this practice which came to us from the pre-Maidan past. You know, we are understanding that today it is illegal to collect cash. We requested the city mayor and the Kyiv authorities today. We were coming up with the proposal to stop such practice in the capital, despite the fact that Kyiv authorities were telling us something. But we can see today how Klitschko's team is executing their promises to stop illegal charges in the city of Kyiv. I would like to demonstrate you the results of inspection by Democratic Alliance in the Kyiv parking places. That is a brief video. Basically, you see the director of the company Kyiv Parking Service on the 5th of January. He's the fourth director of that company. He stated that they have intentions to fight cash charges. You can see how that's happening. We were conducting such inspection only in places where there are parking meters. Basically, the conclusions of our inspection is the following. First, we understand that illegal charges continue. This black cash goes beyond the city budget, and we would like to mention that starting from today, starting from now, our case, this money is not just stolen from the city budget, but from children. On the 28th of January in Kyiv, there was a city budget approved, and today, one of the sources of covering expenditures for meals for children is payment for parking. So today we have the situation when every time when we pay for parking, not via parking meter, that is minus one portion of meals for children in schools. We would like to address the owners of cars. Please follow the law. For that, today you need to pay in parking meters or via SMS. Both services probably operate, not ideally, but they do operate. Do not help get those who created the schemes to rob Kyivites to get richer. Second, we would like to repeatedly address City Mayor Vitaly Klitschko with the requirement again to stop such cash charges. On the other hand, we will give the results of this inspection to Kyiv Mayor. All these places where we registered violations were videoed, and we hope that the city mayor will approve all the decisions, including personnel decisions. And in advance, we can announce that starting from next week, we are starting a new wave of raids of Democratic Alliance to Kyiv parking sites, not just registering the violations, but putting all the efforts into making these people responsible. We will be calling militia and journalists during these raids. We need to stop this practice, and we will put maximum efforts to have it happen in the nearest time. I would like to give you one place near Pozniki Park.
Good afternoon. I am together with the activists of Democratic Alliance. I was making this video, and all of that was done last week, and only on those pocket places where we have pocket machines. So those illegal charges, that's quite a systemic. They are quite systemic. It's not just separate cases. According to our information, everyone who's parking a car pays 500 hryvnia to their bus. Every 500 hryvnia is like 70 million hryvnia a year. As Vasyl told, only that money could cover expenditures for feeding kids in schools. Because the Vitaly Klitschko runs the city, we could come to a conclusion that that money goes to that group of people. Special attention should be paid to methods they charge money from drivers. Sometimes it's very funny. I saw how they pay in barter, for example, when providers, those who bring something to restaurants, they gave cigarettes, oranges to those parking servants. Or sometimes instead of 20 hryvnia, they pay in 5. So every parker is responsible for a special place, and they think they can do anything they want at that place, at the parking place. Personally, I ask drivers why they are paying to parkers. They are not supposed to do that, and the majority of cases people say it's easier for me to pay than he will scratch his my car or something else. 2 weeks ago, when a parker made a tire flat to one car, and whose driver said didn't pay. So that's why. Well, I have only one conclusion. Then we have a mafia. They charge money from drivers for nothing to happen to their cars. So that's why we demand from Vitaly Klitschko personally to stop those illegal charges immediately. Thank you. Anything else? If to speak about responsibility for what my colleagues told, we can state that unfortunately practice that was developing for years about that nobody's responsible. So reversibility of punishment that has not changed. That can be done if there is a political will of authorities, and if there is the will of people to set pressure on the authorities. As to responsibility of parkers, those who provided work to them, legislators give us different charges that can be used to parkers. Administrative responsibility, criminal responsibility, and disciplinary. It's very difficult. It's very easy to bring them to responsibility. We saw that video when in 2 days, when they started to speak about that situation, that person was dismissed as to administrative responsibility. On the on May 2014, the law of Ukraine was approved about change amendments to some legislation of Ukraine as to parking vehicles. Legislators in that law provide the responsibility for non-equipment with parking machines over parking places and other devices that control payment for parking. What does it mean for us? Again, legislators underlined that parking lot which is not equipped with parking places are illegal. We speak about that, and we demand that such parking lots are illegal, and there is a criminal responsibility for that. We speak about a criminal responsibility, and to prove it, it's more difficult to prove it. But there are articles in the law, for example, abuse of power. That's an article we can use. We would like to underline that since the next week, we'll have raids, organized trips to parking lots around the capital. We went to parking lots with parking devices, and next week we'll go to all the parking lots, independently whether there is a parking paying device to pay for parking or not. We'd like to underline that all facts of violation of the legislation, we will react to them, and according to the legislation, we'll call police and other controlling bodies, and we'll speak to departments and utilities that regulate regulate parking issues in Kyiv. We would like also to invite to our activity journalists and also residents of Kyiv who are not indifferent. if I went to reset a video when I'm demanded, and in our presentation, if I and what sum goes to those? How much do they charge illegally? We can only guess and make calculations, but in general, for us to understand the size of how they rob Kyiv, we need to have audit. That's why we decided to have these visits, and there will be special visits to concrete parking lots. And we'll make calculations during the day, how many cars parked during the day, how much they charged, and afterwards we'll compare that, how much we received through parking devices and through SMS, or in some other way, if it is provided legitimately by the utility. But in general, when we take a number of parking lots in Kyiv, we have about 6,000 of them in Kyiv, but there are lots of illegal, even more of them are illegal. We know about investigation of journalists, and when they employed the journalist to utilities responsible for parking, and they found out that very often, this is just a daily practice, when outside of that parking lot official, they also raise money, charge money, when cars are placed not horizontal or somehow else to get more money. So we spoke about hundreds of millions of hryvnia. And on the 22nd of January, we approved a new concept of parking space and of its management and organizing, and we put everything, all our efforts for that, for that to be done in a European way, but and also in calculations. We believe that about 200 million hryvnia a year could be there if we organize charge and well for parking. But in European practice, in fact, payment for parking is not the first goal of that charge. It is introduced to reduce the traffic downtown, for people not to be motivated to go downtown, to use public transportation. And the second goal of that charge is profit for the budget. So we see your address. That's why anyone could agree and participate in visits if you wanted to help us, or if it's not far from the place where you park your car. We will be happy to do that together, because this is not only about an abstract robbing or stealing from the budget. We speak about money of taxpayers. It's about our money. Secondly, it's about important spendings, and we speak about kids' food in schools. And in September, for us not to be in the state when we don't have money to feed our kids in schools, and no, we have to change this practice. We are against that corruptional charges, those corruptional charges in Kyiv. We don't. Makievsky News.
Yeah, you're doing a noble thing. In Donetsk region, we were doing similar things. Do you have any figures? What's the percentage of park meters you have compared to the official parking sites? Have you addressed in the written form this structure that charges that money, or is there any way to legalize this charge by introducing mobile cash devices in Kyiv. And there are about 200 parking sites with the parking meters 87, one-third, and the concept which we approved in the Kyiv Council, everything is to be equipped with these parking meters. And these are not, these shouldn't be just parking meters, but modern terminals which could be put everywhere. And that's what we'll be trying to achieve. We were not just addressing, we had several meetings with the leadership of this, with the management of that company, Kyiv Park Trans Service. We very often have discussion with the Department of Transportation of Kyiv City, state administration, and from what they are saying, you can see they say that they want to fight that problem, but we see the results.
Питання по уточненню наших спікерів. Дуже дякую, Василю, дуже
Дякую вам
дякую,
дуже.
колег.
Thank you. Colleagues, keep us informed. See you in a week or 2 weeks with the new evidence. But our final aim is to stop that so that we come and say that the raid demonstrated that there are no more illegal charges and the money of the taxpayers go to the